Hello and good morning, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to Jays Latest. I'm your host, Craig Borden, and we're going to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays in winter meetings recap so far. Thursday, and the winter meetings wrap up today, I believe, but there's so many rumors, so many signings, so many this, that, everything, including the fact that we had Rance Mullenix on the Jaybird Watching podcast last night to talk about all these rumors and what the dugout chemistry needs to look like for the Blue Jays to continue this thing going in the right direction. So let's talk Blue Jays rumors first because these are always the funnest. So after a wave of signings all around us that we'll talk about here in a moment, the Blue Jays have been linked to a few other All Stars and some other potential weird, fun things. So first things first, yeah, yesterday Dylan Cease was officially announced as a Blue Jays fan or a Blue Jays player, not Blue Jays fan. In the midst of this whole thing, the interview was incredible, and you could see the excitement with him, and that was what I was hoping to see. It wasn't just yeah, I'm here to do my stuff, I'm here to go. The key word is he knew he could be his best with the Blue Jays. And if he's going to be at his best, that means this team's going to probably be at his best. And then we run to the promised land would be the hope. And I think he truly actually intended to go play in Toronto this off season. They just had to figure this whole thing out. Scott Boras had to hurry up and get a contract in place. It seemed destined to happen, is kind of how that whole interview happened and it sounded. So, in the midst of that, we have our guy. We have an incredible pitching staff. The Blue Jays are still kicking the tires on some decent pitching, though. Brad Keller has been somebody they've been looking at. And Keller's been a great pitcher, but to that point, it's definitely a raising the floor of this rotation. In case Ricky Tiedemann and Bowden Francis do not bounce back, you have somebody like Brad Keller that is ready to be that fourth or fifth starter if somebody needs to be. And Brad Keller is a sneaky steal at that value that he's at, too. Going along with other pieces to this, it sounds like Japanese home run monster slash first base, third base guy, Kazuma Akamoto, is actually potentially signing with the Blue Jays. There's a lot of smoke to that fire all of a sudden, and it sounds intriguing. Um, One of the best home runs in the Japanese baseball league. If he can catch up to the fastball in the majors, this is a hell of a bat to be coming into play for the Blue Jays. Another right-handed power threat that would be great behind Vladdy and company in this lineup. Offset the fact that we still don't know what we're going to get out of Toronto or Anthony Santander. Um, it's interesting because there's also all these rumors that he's signing with Philly, and it just sounds very murky. Nothing has been solidified with him. It seems like, and it's just all over the place. So, and oh, there you go, Cubs, Yankees, everybody. It's in the last day and a half for Akamoto. So take that with a grain of salt. Um, but there's other great rumors too. Blue Jays are still looking for closers. The Red Sox sound like they backed out of the Bo Bichette talks. So that puts the Blue Jays maybe back front and center in that distraction that Bo had there for a moment. So the right things are happening. The right buttons are being pushed. So the next piece to that whole thing is what is next for the Toronto Blue Jays as Cease is locked up. The Japanese star sounds like a possibility. It's bullpen help. We need bullpen help. A lot of it. So the bat would be great. Kyle Tucker is still on the table, and the only fear that I have is now I don't know if you've looked, down the line over here yet, but we get to talk about how the Mets have kind of really screwed up with these next two headlines. What does that do to the free agent market now that the Mets are going to be hungry after losing Pete Alonso to the Baltimore Orioles on a 5-year deal, party people? I don't, as much as I don't like it, I'm glad that Pete Alonso got paid. He's one of the cool, nicest guys in baseball. He's an insanely good hitter. He's had 40 home runs perennially, basically. It's really cool to see him get his deal. But did I wish that was going to be with the Baltimore Orioles? No. $155 million 5-year deal is what Jeff Passan is reporting. And having the polar bear in our division is going to raise the seal or raise this competition in the American League East, especially. The Yankees sound like they're kind of out of the game, or they're playing it really, really oddly this offseason, claiming poor and all these things. And then you have the Orioles sweep in and take a giant bat like this off the market. I just hope it doesn't turn into a Crush Davis for him. I cannot say enough good things about what I would have loved to see Pete Alonso playing in a Blue Jay uniform, but there's just not really anywhere to put him with the DH spot being filled up with George Springer and Anthony Santander. Da, da, da. So, but the Blue Jays are going to have to continue to have that great pitching to keep somebody like him in check in Baltimore. So that happened. And then the other piece that happened, Edwin Diaz, yes, the closer, the guy the Blue Jays were hoping to, that guy right there, is off the board, and now we'll be playing with the Dodgers of all people. So the Blue Jays our highest ended closer target is now off the market, and the Blue Jays are going to have to continue to dive into the available players market to be able to think that, or they're going to have to find somebody like they did with Louis Varland at the end of last year that they are going to be very happy in stealing in a trade from another team. We'll see what happens, but at that point, Edwin Diaz was the guy that they were pursuing. The next best bet is Peter Fairbanks or going to Robert Suarez, who is a flamethrower at 35. Seeing what happened with Adrales Chapman over the past years, maybe Robert Suarez is the same guy. He's been doing incredible things for years, and obviously the San Diego Padres just go, hey, we're going to go out and get Mason Miller. They went out and got Mason Miller, and kind of became obsolete having a need for Robert Suarez, or at least a need to pay him along with Mason Miller. So Suarez is looking for that next contract, and a couple years in Toronto would definitely be a nice way to end his career. Same thing with Pete Fairbanks. He's a little younger. I think he's 32. He has been rumored and attached to the Blue Jays as well, but those two being the best two closers left on the free agent market, they're going to be mentioned with everything in the Blue Jay uniform. So that's what we got, party people. What do you think is going to happen with the Mets with their, two stars leaving, and they're all of a sudden sitting there with their pocketbooks open? I think Steve Cohen will go all in and continue to spend and get the Mets back where they need to be, but that could seriously hurt the Blue Jays' pursuits in many fashions. They're going to be looking for a closer. Guess where we're looking? We're going to be looking for a bat. Kyle Tucker is going to be expensive now, and so on and so forth. So let us know in the comments. Keep us going, and we'll talk to you soon. And as always, let's go Blue Jays.